Are you prepared for a great economic downturn when the cookie crumbles? Hello, y'all. I'm Diana Brienne. You know, Grandma grew up in the Great Depression, and I've talked about that and how she had to try to support her three little girls because Grandma was a divorced woman in 1922. And the Great Depression really didn't begin until 1929 when the stock market crashed. And it crashed more than once, really, during that time. It crashed and kind of rebounded, and then it crashed again, and it was pretty much flat on the ground for quite a few years after that. And it was during that time that the real economy really came tumbling down. And I'm not saying that we're going to have a stock market crash or an economic crash, but anything is possible. And Grandma used to say, prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Grandma was always a saver. She saved her money, and she didn't waste her money. She said the time to save is when you can, not when you have to. Because when you have to is usually when you need the money and you don't have the ability to generate that money. And she believed in saving when she could. And so Grandma always saved. And she grew up in a time when if you had money in the bank, it could get wiped out. Now there's, things in place that can help prevent some of that from taking place. And so times were very different back then. So people often think an economic collapse cannot happen now because we've learned from those mistakes. But have we really learned? I think people are more in debt probably now than they've ever been. And Grandma did not believe in debt. She believed in getting out of debt. She believed in driving an older car rather than the newest, fancy, most expensive car. Because she said people who do that usually don't have any money. They're just showing off what they don't have. And she said, often people are one paycheck away from being homeless. And I think that can be true because most people, a lot of people that I've met have no savings whatsoever. And they do live paycheck to paycheck and would not be able to make their mortgage or their rent if they were out of a job. And they would probably lose their car in the midst of it because they have high car payments. So I'm not saying not to buy what you truly need or what you truly want, but often needs and wants are very different. And, I knew a couple that his job got downsized and he had no job suddenly. And they had two very, very nice cars. And what they did is they sold those two nice cars and bought two simple cars, just enough to go around looking for a new job. And it was quite a while before he got a job equivalent to the one he had. So he had to take a minimum wage job. And, their lifestyle could not be supported on minimum wage. But they began to do things that enabled them to get through that difficult time. But things would have been so much easier had they saved ahead. And they may have not had to sold their cars. They may have not had to, go through the difficult time that they did. The time to save is when you can, not when you have to. Buying that $5 cup cafe latte every day through the drive-through or that lunch through the drive-through every day adds up. If you stopped doing that and made your lunches at home and took them to work or bought yourself a cafe latte machine and put it in a thermos jug and took it to work with you, you may save money pretty fast. Your wallet is probably going to reflect the money that you're going to save, okay? And yet, often this younger generation has no idea what the Great Depression really was and how it impacted people's lives. Many people lost their jobs, they lost their income, they lost their homes, they were living in their cars, they lost their cars, they didn't have enough to eat. There were soup kitchens and soup lines. People don't think that that can ever happen again. Well, hopefully it never does. And yet, could it? Anything is possible. The time to prepare is when you can, not when you have to. So Grandma always believed saving for that rainy day, hoping that rainy day never comes. Grandma never denied herself what was truly important, but she never threw money away. She didn't run out and buy the latest pair of shoes. She sometimes held her shoes together with rubber bands, not because she had to, but because she chose to. She chose to save her money. Now, for me, I wouldn't go to that extreme of holding my shoes together with rubber bands, but I understand why she did it because of what she lived through as a young woman with 3 little girls trying to raise her children. And so I live by that philosophy. Save when you can. Enjoy your life. Enjoy your journey. You know, there's so much wonderful in life that's not really attached to money. And so if you save your money, you're going to be so much better off if a rainy day comes. Okay? From my house to yours, may God bless you. I hope you like, share, subscribe, and I hope to talk to you soon again. Bye-bye.